shout out this morning to one of our new sponsors, Tucker's Seamless Gutters and Custom Covers, Vermont's premier gutter installation company right here in central Vermont. You can choose from a wide range of colors. Not sure if they've got the, fluorescent pink, but it wouldn't surprise me if they could come close to it. Every gutter custom made to fit your home or business absolutely perfectly. They just did one on my barn, which desperately needed it. TuckersSeamlessGutters.com. Make the right choice today. And go seamless, because you know you're going to regret it if you don't. Tomorrow, Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice has got a big event going on. At some point, I'm going to be running up there and live streaming, but it's basically a big open house. The public's invited to come on up right there on Granger Road, step on inside, meet the team, find out about some career opportunities, learn a little bit more about what they do. It's going to be a great day, and it's going on all day. I think till like 5, but I'll double check and I'll make sure that it gets posted right up on the page. And again, I'm hoping to get up there. I'm planning to get up there and have some fun and live stream. Lots going on today. Want to first off say happy Easter to you. And thanks for sharing your morning with me, getting it started. The work week is right in front of us. You got Central Vermont's podcast. I'm J.D. Green. This is Aired Out from Fly on the Wall Productions. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. We're streamed everywhere you get your podcasts. We're on the web at airedoutvt.com. Yes, happy Monday. Today is a National Twinkie Day. We got 9 days until taxes are due. We got 34 days until Mother's Day. Whew. 35 degrees right now. Snow in the air. And at my house, on the ground this morning, waking up to that. Cloudy, snow showers today, upper 30s. That's what we can expect. Tonight, clouds 26, cloudy tomorrow, snow showers in 34, sunny on Wednesday, 45. I know it's feeling a little bit more like winter this week. Thursday, sunny and what? 60. And look at this. Friday, sunshine and 67. So if we can get through, at least tomorrow, I think we're going to be finding out if we're going to stay alive. All right? Birthdays today. Bryce Limlaw, Kristen Ray, T.J. Jarvis, Charlene Franks, Jamie LaFountain, Debbie Duggan, and Beth Taylor. I want to talk for just a minute here about Green Mountain Home Repair. It is a program run by Downstreet Housing and Community Development that helps homeowners fix critical issues in their homes, especially issues that are related to health, to safety, to energy efficiency. You can kind of think of it as a little bit of a lifeline for homeowners who can't really afford major home repairs but need to make their home safe and, well, frankly, livable. This is a program that can help you pay for or finance repairs like roofing, structural repairs, plumbing, electrical issues, heating issues, accessibility improvements, energy efficient upgrades, weatherization, stuff like that, insulation and whatnot. I know that this has got my attention. Hopefully it's getting yours. Downstreet Housing and Community Development is doing this, and they are offering grants of up to $5,000. That is free money. That is no repayment. $5,000. Or the option of low-cost loans up to $20,000 with flexible terms. If you're eligible, if you would like to find out if you qualify for this, the best way to do it, well, first of all, you got to live in Washington, Orange, or Lamoille counties. You got to own your home. You got to have a household income below 80% of the area median income. They can help you figure that out. And you've got to own a property with 4 units or fewer. If you got something that you're if you're a landlord. bottom line is they want to help you out. 802-476-4493. And I'm going to put an email here in the comments for you to send an email and just say, hey, send me an application, and I'd like to know if I qualify. And it's that simple. They're going to be in here real soon, and we're going to be talking about this. Logan Luce is so worked up. And let's jump into some sports here this morning, because it is one of the best times of the year. If you're a fan, March Madness, everybody is talking about it. We got a national championship matchup that is set on the men's side tonight. Michigan taking on the UConn Huskies tonight for the title game. What say you, Logan?
Good morning, JD. How are we?
Well, man, are you awake?
Yeah, no, I just woke up a little bit ago, but I'm up.
Were you staying up late last night watching some NBA hoop?
I was, yeah.
Talk to me, man. What are you saying about tonight?
Tonight's looking incredible. I'm excited. Honestly, I don't know about most people, but I am excited to see the matchup between Adea Mari and Reed Jr., Tyrese Reed Jr., both amazing centers, both incredible big men. Excited to see both of them face off tonight. UConn winning was definitely like not a surprise. They took a massive lead at the start. Same with Michigan. Both Michigan and UConn were able to capitalize on large leads at the start of the matches. So both teams played incredible. Excited to see them play tonight.
Yeah, man. And what is it? It's like 8:50, I think, is
That
the
is
tap,
correct.
right?
Yep, tonight at 8:50. Like I said, Michigan. Honestly, like I said, the big star was Ada Mara for Michigan, and so seeing him is going to be huge. And overall, both teams are incredible, and I'm excited. I'm very excited to see both teams face off. I'm really excited to see who comes out on top. I don't know about you. I got Michigan. Who do you got, JD?
I'm going to go with UConn.
Oh,
My
good choice,
family's
good choice.
a big fan. I mean, I don't. It's a toss up. I mean, who the hell knows what's going to happen tonight? Really? I mean,
Oh no,
come on.
it's gonna be very interesting for sure. It's
Women's
gonna be
side,
surprising.
we had a powerhouse showdown last night between South Carolina and UCLA. UCLA got the win, the 2026 National Championship, 79-51. UCLA pretty much dominated start to finish. I don't know if you got a chance to
Yeah,
see that game last
yeah.
night, but they pulled
Oh
away
yeah,
big time in the second half.
Gabriella Jaquez, is that how you say Jaquez? Yeah. She came out on top, huge for her team, 21 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff from her end. Same with their guard, Gianna. Gianna did well, 15 points, shot 5 for 15 with 4 assists, not bad, not bad. No, both female games, incredible.
UCLA's first NCAA national title in women's basketball. Man,
That's
were they
actually
pumped, man. They were just thrilled last night.
no, that's huge.
Yeah, man. All
That's
right.
huge.
Listen, enjoy the game tonight, bud.
Thank you so
And,
much.
yeah, maybe we'll chat tomorrow.
Awesome. Sounds wonderful. I hope you get to catch the game tonight.
You got it, buddy. Logan Luce right there. The playoff picture is starting to tighten up in the NBA, and it was a busy one last night. We'll start with one of the wildest finishes of the night last night. The Rockets edged out the Warriors in a nail-biter, 117-116. That one came down to the final possession. Oklahoma City Thunder made a serious statement last night, blowing out the Utah Jazz 146-111, a total domination from start to finish. I don't know which games you were watching last night. I know there were so many on the tube. Bottom line, I think most of us would agree if you were watching NBA last night, offense was the story pretty much across the entire league. It was amazing. Celtics building some serious momentum right now. If you're a fan, you know there was some strong bench play last night. We got some nice roster moves. They're looking more and more and more like a real threat. So plenty to keep an eye on. Major League Baseball opening series action. Already some drama last night. Astros and Athletics turning into a slugfest. Oakland pulled it out 12-10 final last night. And some pretty big surprises as well. Miami Marlins edged out the Yankees 7-6 in the Bronx. Pirates crushed Baltimore 8-2. Dodgers stayed hot, beating Washington 8-6. Cubs blanked Cleveland 1-0 in a tight one. White Sox shut out Toronto 3-0. And some late games last night, all snug. Angels walking off the Mariners 8-7. Diamondbacks edged the Braves 6-5. Rangers fell in a close one, real close to the Reds, 2-1 last night. Blowout of the night in the NHL. Had to be the Rangers dominating Washington 8-1. What an embarrassment. Flyers slipped past the Bruins 2-1. If you're a golf fan, get ready. Masters Week is just about here. All eyes shifting to Augusta National Golf Club. I'll tell you who's not going to be playing. Well, you already know. Tiger. Right now, all about March Madness reaching its peak. Playoff pushes in the NBA and the NHL, and the start of a long Major League Baseball season. It's going to be amazing. This morning, it was my plan, it was my hope to talk about the Dugout Restaurant with Josh Foster. I'm still going to be talking about it a little bit. Not sure what happened to Josh. He may call in. He may have forgotten. He may have had an emergency. He may be sick. Who knows? But so far, anyway, he's not here. Josh is a great guy. Josh and I had to had an opportunity to chat quite a bit. And I have learned from Josh that his family bought the Dugout Restaurant back in 1981 and sold it to the Salties in 1990. Josh has some great memories of the Dugout Restaurant, which was built, by the way, back in 1919. Josh has a lot to say about the Dugout Restaurant, not only about the fact that it is has been a historic staple in our community for many, many, many years, but also the memories that so many of us have of that restaurant. My plan is to reach out to Frank Malnetti. My hope is that Frank will join me on the air. This is something Josh and I talked about as well. Josh, at some point, I'm sure, will be joining us on the air, whether it's here in the studio or whether it's by phone. But the comments that are coming in about this are amazing. I see Tim Jarvis is on the line. Tim, good morning.
Good morning. How are you today, JD? Happy Monday.
My man, happy Monday, happy Easter. I hope you're off to a great start. Is the sap running up there at the Vermont Maple Farm?
Wow, it's frozen tight today, and we're excited that it is. It kind of recharges. The tree's gonna be really cold tomorrow.
Yeah,
having a banner year up here. We haven't had a lot of warm days.
Yeah,
but I called in because I actually used to work at the Dugout, and I worked at the Dugout when Bart Foster had sold it to Bob Gatos. And we had the people lined out the door. We had shrimp on the salad bar, and Bart would do all of his steaks. He was still involved. He lived up behind the dugout. There's a little house behind the dugout, and Josh was there. So I remember Josh when he was a little kid. So very fond memories. And we used to go right to, so I would drive all the way to Boston once a week, get our steaks from Agar Meats and our shrimp and seafood right fresh from the Boston market. And I drive back, and that's what we ran with. So it was a pretty cool environment. I know that Bob Gatos, he expanded, opened up Caldwell's up in Alberg. And your first comments there about it was built in 1912, I think you said.
1919.
If I remember correctly, now the dugout was called the dugout because it was dug out of the side of the hill, and the gentleman had rheumatoid arthritis.
Yes.
And his doctor or whoever was guiding him medically said that would help his rheumatoid arthritis. And of course, Bob and Bart, they had all this information, and you'd go in there and I don't know if Bart put it together, but Bob was obviously my boss because he hired me, and we had the best jazz music ever. And we had customers that would have their particular seats. And if you ever remember, it was very fun. You know, you'd come in and it was a warm atmosphere. There was actually a horseshoe booth that had heaters underneath the booth. So even in the wintertime, and we had cars lined up all the way along the road. So it was a cool experience. We all worked really hard. We had some great workers in there, and it's a shame to see it go by. I know it's a conversation piece because it's on 302 and everybody sees the junkie pile there. I think, there's some people there that in the community, including myself, that would love to have that sign, and it's a piece of history for sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I was, and we're hoping that Josh will be able to join us here because we've had some great conversations over the phone, some long-winded ones about some of the great memories that he has as a kid between 1981 and 1990 when his family owned it. They bought it from the Malnettis and then sold it to the Salties in 1990. I've been checking some of the local forums, and I know that over the last decade or so, that several longtime residents have spoken up about this. I mean, and let's be honest, it's in some pretty significant disrepair. And at one point, Barre Town had to take the owners to court to order a cleanup because it's become so overgrown and neglected. And there were some legal discussions and enforcement actions that were brought at the municipal level about the condition of the property, but nothing has really come to fruition here. And that's all that I'm trying to find out, man. That's all I'm asking about. And
I think it's a beautiful open air conversation. If you wanted my opinion on it, we got to drive by it and we see it, and it's gross. And most of the long-term residents, we're fond of it because we remember when it was special. Yeah. If that was on a dirt road in the back alley, and we have a lot of those structures like that. So there's a lot of, abandoned places or even occupied dwellings that look like that around the state. The problem that we occur is, if you start creating laws that says you can't have a place like that, and granted, it would be nice if everybody kept their places clean. And you've been up to my place, I keep a nice place, but where do the laws start? And who takes care of those laws, and what does it cost the state to follow up on all those laws?
Yeah.
The majority of the people in the state of Vermont, they take care of their properties, they have pride, they work hard for the things they have. And I don't know the full situation over there. It doesn't have anything that's like contamination, like batteries or rotten cars. It just looks like it's just debris.
Yeah.
So does it hurt the environment? It certainly is, right beside a waterway right there.
Yeah.
So is there anything leaking into there? I mean, the state already has laws about that. Should we have it cleaned up? Yeah, let's clean it up. But do we have the state of Vermont start making laws? Because all of a sudden, if you have a bag of 5-cent empties and you put it out on your front step because you're just going to throw it in the back of your car in the morning and go,
Yep.
does that break the law? So and then you have the babysitters of the neighbors. Well, I'm gonna turn him in. So we have to be careful when we start wanting to institute laws on one in particular instance, because like you said, I saw that and I remember when the town did clean all that up, or they forced somebody to do it, and then it just started accumulating again. But the building itself is just starting to fall apart and go back into the earth too. It looks like.
And we don't want the folks from Massachusetts that are moving up here enforcing a new law like this. You know what I'm saying, man. It's you're a Vermonter through the bone, born and raised right here.
No, multi-generation.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever once left the border of Vermont, Tim. Have you?
Yeah.
For a couple, you have for a couple of hours.
Well, I mean, back to your point, I used to be a Domino's Pizza franchisee. I've currently retired from that on multiple locations. And one of my first stores, well, actually, my first store was Barrie, Vermont. And hiring these young folks, I mean, they thought the big city is Burlington.
Right.
Like, you haven't been out of Vermont, you know. And one of my neighbors where I live, Mr. Tillotson, he helped on our sugar bush for years when I was growing up, and he never left. He never went to Canada.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I'm afraid I can't get back in. I don't want to go to Canada. I'm not going up there.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, back to your comment, I mean, have I ever left the state of Vermont? There's a lot of people that don't.
One of the things, Tim, that I've seen, and the comments are a mile long. I mean, it's the last time I posted this was well over 500 comments about this. I think, just to generalize, I think if I had to, I would say probably 80%, maybe more, agree that something should be done. And I would say the majority have said something to the effect of remove it, take it down. There's been a few people saying fix it up, restore it. And I'm not sure, number one, that's really possible.
I don't think it is, because even when I was working there, we had issues with it. Bob had issues with the building, constantly had water running into it. The roof was constantly leaking. Pretty sure it's a timber frame built into the ground. I don't think there's a whole lot going on in there. That's great.
And the other thing, Tim, and I know you've seen this, is when you're coming down 302 and you pass Dollar General.
Mm-hmm.
If you glance up on the hillside, that whole entire bank gave way. I don't know if it was the flood of 23 or if it was the flood of 24. Maybe it was a combination of both. But that whole bank has gone away. I mean, you can even see the home that's up on top up there.
I was there when it actually flooded years ago in the 80s. Okay, and Josh was just a little boy, and Bart, his father, was out there, being a father, saying, "Get away from that! You have no idea what's coming down that mountain right now."
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was always a raging mess in the spring for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, super cool place. It certainly is a topic of conversation. I mean, my opinion would be, let's get rid of it, put something else there. What's the answer? Well, you got to find out who the landowner is, and it's his decision because he owns it.
Yeah.
And it's not ours. What if we had where I live, I know where you live. We know where a lot of your, our friends live. If I was that landowner and all of a sudden there's, a podcast on it, I would be a little taken back and say, well, geez, maybe I should do something about it. But we don't. Do you know who owns it now?
I don't. I don't. I know there was a guy that lived there. I don't know if he was the owner or what the deal was, but I had heard anyway that he had lived there for quite a while with his son who was disabled. And at some point, that trailer got put in on the property. I don't know if they were living out of that. Really, honestly, none of my business or anyone else's. And that's just hearsay. That's just what I've heard. But I pass by there several times a day, and I haven't seen any activity for years.
Yeah, me neither. I drive by there also too. I got business in Barrie, and even this winter, I try and pay attention to see if anybody's living there. Any activity in the snow, going in and out of the building. I don't remember. I don't recollect seeing any foot traffic going in and out through the snow. So I'm just thinking, geez, that's too bad, because that means there's probably no heat. That means all the pipes are frozen.
Sure.
The town had to shut the water off. There's probably black mold all in there. So the town and the state, they may have a situation where they can condemn the building, and then through, their legal appropriations, they could act on it and tear it down if it is a crisis to that waterway. And ultimately, the landowner is going to be responsible for it if he can afford it. I don't know what the laws are, but it's a great conversation piece. I mean, and if we talk about this property, well, there's lots of other properties we can talk about too.
Exactly. And I was trying to make that point. I mean, there's a lot of properties that we have got question marks on. I mean, Salvation Army building. That's just one of them. And then there's other buildings that are really nice, like Mr. Z's. Are there conversations happening about that building?
Flood zone.
Flood zone. But
the state's got to come and mediate out that river. They got to cure that flood problem. And if they can cure that flood problem, you'll find values go up. You'll find a lot of businesses that would be attracted to come to Barrie. And if we can get the population to grow in Barrie, that means you would have more workers for more industry to come and be part of Barrie.
Tim, I heard you say a few minutes ago that maybe the Dugout Restaurant should be cleaned up, taken down. Anything that's historic, obviously, is preserved in some way, in some fashion. But I also heard you say something to the effect of maybe something else could be rebuilt there. Is that an area where you would be interested in rebuilding something, especially with that hillside that's tumbling down behind it?
Geez, all depends. I mean, you'd have to figure out if it's in the flood zone. You'd have to build higher than the flood zone. You'd have to take a look at the integrity of the embankment above. How is it held together? Is there only 18 inches of soil on it? My sugar bush, that's about, the forester says that we're so high up here, we're rock. We've got bedrock below us. There's not a lot of sediment underneath us. So that could be all sediment, or it could be ledge up there. That's all to be designed out by an engineer before you put multi-million-dollar investment in there, because that's what it would take. And I think there's such a beautiful romance about what you're talking about. And I think you're getting so much traction and conversation because, the dugout wasn't a place to eat.
Yeah, right.
The dugout was a place where you went when someone had a birthday.
Yeah.
When someone had an anniversary. We would rent out that whole back room. You would have corporate meetings in the whole back room. You would have Easter Sundays. You would have everything there. It was a place to come and celebrate. It was a place to come and experience. And unfortunately, now we have the very worst type of experience when we drive by it. So it's sad. You have it's like the beautiful puppy, and it got old, and now unfortunately it's dwindling. And what do you do? So you've got to make a decision. As a community, we need to stand together and try and help the landowner move in the right direction with it, because it certainly is depreciating the properties around it are depreciated. You wouldn't want to live across the street from it.
Right.
You wouldn't want to live beside it.
Yep.
Right. It creates a perception when you're coming from 302 into Barrie.
Yeah.
You get to see items like that. If there was more of those as you start driving into Barrie, and unfortunately, there, you mentioned the Salvation Army, and there's some other buildings there too that are in this disarray. So, I mean, there's lots of always things to take care of. Not any different than if you're a homeowner and you have spring cleanup to take care of. You have limbs and things like that on the ground. You have road trash that blew up along the side of the road. You got to pick up. You got to clean the side of your house if you're close enough to the road where you get the road mist up there. You've got all sorts of things to clean up after.
And here's the thing, Tim, and I don't know how to say this, but and you know this. Sometimes you get on some of these back roads and people just love to have a lot of clutter on their lawns. I mean, that's just the way they are. I mean, they collect stuff. Maybe they're hoarders. Maybe I don't know if we can label people, but some of us just love to have a lot of shit on the lawn, and that's just that's just the way we live.
True.
I mean, look at the guy on.
You make a lot, but the problem is that's what I'm saying. We have to be careful here,
right?
With the dugout, because if you start making laws, it costs the state more money to babysit laws.
I know.
So if somebody wants to leave a couple of abandoned lawnmowers on the front lawn, does it look good? No. Do people want to see it? Not really. But ultimately, I mean, we live in a free country, and if that's your land and that's what you want to do with it, it's not nice as long as it's not hurting your neighbor.
Yeah.
Well, should we make a law? The problem is right now it goes back to something that I said. It's devaluing the home value of the neighbors.
Well, it's on a
because
major
if they were
artery.
To sell it,
exactly.
If they wanted to sell it, if your house was for sale and you had the dugout right beside your house, JD.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, you're going to probably lose 25% of what that house really is worth because someone's going to move into the junkyard next door.
This is a sticky situation. I'm thinking about the guy over on Robar Road. I don't know if you've ever seen that property, but I mean, that's the way some people live. And, but when you're on a major artery coming in and out of the city, man, I don't know, man. It would be shocking to me if someone said that it's not an eyesore. I mean, I've had comments of mind your own business, look the other way. I don't know, man. It's like, I'm not trying to poke my business into anything. What I'm doing is trying to have a conversation about what everyone else is talking about. And people are talking about this. They have been for years. People are talking about the old J.J. Newberry building right down the road from me here on Main Street in Barrie for many, many years.
Well, something's happening there, right?
Something finally. But, I mean, taken how many years? 15? Something like that?
It costs money. It costs money, and if I'm an investor, and you know that in town, and I look at that and I look at the parking, and I'm like, it is Main Street. Yeah. It's a historical place, but the Main Streets of today aren't what really fits the main streets of 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So if you drive down Main Street, I did this, I don't know, 2 weeks ago. I had some time. I was running from one hardware store to the other. I was looking for some parts here for the Sugar Bush, and it was a gray, gloomy day, and I was looking at the types of people that are walking around town, and I think, my God, when I opened Domino's Pizza back in 1991, this town was on its way still, and is Barrie City better today than it was back in 1991? And I don't have to answer that question. All your listeners can certainly answer that question. So if it's going in the right direction, let it roll. If it's going in the wrong direction, well, how do you change it? Where are your votes going? What is your city council up to?
Yeah.
What do they think?
I guess, I don't know what to do. Maybe I should just end this conversation. I don't know. Maybe I should go over to the town and ask them. Are there any discussions about cleanup?
Certainly looks like it could be triggered to have a structural investigation, because if the pipes did freeze.
What about code enforcement?
Well, right, and that's correct. I deal with that. I have a couple apartment buildings in Berry City, and I deal with code enforcement all the time.
I know you do.
So,
I know you do.
We deal with it and we follow it, and Berry City, believe it or not, you wouldn't know this, but there's a lot of contractors that won't even work in Berry City because code is extremely strict in Berry City compared to Montpelier. I got electricians and plumbers who are like, we don't do business in Berry anymore because we work in Montpelier and the code isn't as stringent or whatever as Berry. They're like, that's crazy. So some of the stuff, I don't need to get into it, but I think that today, I saw that you posted it yesterday that you're going to have a chat with Josh. I thought it was super cool. It was a part of my life. It's a part of most of your listeners' lives because they're chatting about it. And I think one of the things that we just might want to just really, really make a point is that it was a beautiful place for all of us in one or two different parts of our life, whether we were going to dinner or celebrating a place. It was cool that it was there. I'm appreciative that it was there for us. I'm appreciative that I got a chance to go and learn how to work in a restaurant there. And unfortunately, it just got old and deteriorated. And there was an owner that just turned it into a home and started hoarding up a bunch of stuff. And it's an eyesore. We have some replacements. We got some nice places to eat now in town. We got the Cornerstone. We've got a couple other places on Main Street. We've got the Meltdown.
Corey.
We've got the Firehouse. Yeah, and definitely the Corey. And, I know Melissa does a great job over there. And Barry's got some good eats. It's pretty cool.
Last time I was in the dugout, I remember having twin lobsters. This was, God.
Yes.
I don't know. I want to say early 90s, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful place, man. It was just, and Josh is by far one of few who have great memories. You do.
I'm sure.
I mean, there's so many people that do. They had their first date there. They were married there. Tim, how old were you when you worked there?
Oh my gosh, I had been 18.
Wow.
I was 18. Yeah. Yeah, we would stop there all the time. So
and Frank
we
was
had
your
our maple
boss?
farm. We had our maple farm here, and then we lived in South Burlington. We'd commute back and forth. Did a lot of work in Barrie. Had a couple apartment buildings my dad did, and we would. That was our stop on our way back to South Burlington. We'd have dinner there all the time. We knew the waitresses by name. We knew Bart. We knew everybody. We had all sorts of celebrations there.
Yeah.
We had a big family. I had 8 siblings, including myself. So we stacked it when we walked in there. It was great. And then I ended up working there. This was when Bart sold to Bob Gatos. And then Bob Gatos partnered up with somebody that had the dry cleaning business. And then they went up to Alberg and opened Caldwell's. Really nice restaurant out there.
Just getting a comment here. The health officer said all they can do is ask them to clean up. The law does not give them any other options.
Yeah, see, I think they have a hard time with entry because it's not like a rental unit where I have to have mine inspected all the time.
Sure.
So they inspect code, they inspect plumbing, make sure that everything's fire rated, make sure that, the electrical panels are secure, all that stuff. But of course, I'm open for business and it's commercial.
Right.
But that's not. It's someone's private dwelling. So
right.
The way the state of Vermont is, you buy an old house, there's no code for it. The only people that are going to force code on you if you
Yeah.
buy a house is your mortgage company and your insurance company. They're going to say, you can't have a wood stove in your garage, for example. The insurance
yeah.
company will say that, right? Because there's combustibles in there. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have some type of code that says, well, we need to go in there. And if there was black mold in there and it was crumbling down to the ground and you had roof leaks and that
Right.
stuff was leaking out and leaching into the river. But yeah, so your listener may be absolutely correct, and I'm sure they are. And the problem is how much investment do we make, or do we put it on the city council, or I guess that's Barrie Town. So how much town enforcement is there? And again, if you couldn't see it from 302, no one would care.
Right.
So
Yeah, exactly,
but it's
man.
perception. I mean, I'm an investor. You're an investor in Barrie City.
Yeah.
It's where you make your living. You got to drive by it every day. It's perception. You've got other schools coming to play football, and you got
Sure.
parents coming. You got people that are, young people that are looking at different communities on where they want to grow up.
Sure.
Where do they want to start a family? Now you got Barrie. Here's a perfect example. I know we're kind of long into this, but this is a good one to know. I have a friend of mine who is in business with me, and she has a young family. She has a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. She was living in a very nice apartment in the outskirts of Burlington, and her husband has a really nice job at UVM, and they qualified for a $450,000 home. Now, they were looking for a 3-bedroom home, and they talk about, this was on 5:50 a.m. yesterday, and I chuckle a bit. They say, well, there's a housing crisis. Well, everybody believes that term. And, well, give us a definition, because I've got a bunch of empties right now, but people just don't qualify, and we have the lowest rate of rent cost in Barrie versus pretty much the rest of the state.
Mhm.
So we follow HUD prices. So this woman who's got 2 children and a husband looking for a home and a place for their kids to go to a good school, okay, 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, they qualify for a $450,000 home. Well, they're looking everywhere. They can't find anything in Chittenden County or the I-89 corridor, Interstate 89 corridor. The closest place to Chittenden County they could find for $450,000 3-bedroom home was Swanton, Highgate. So Swanton, Highgate, and Barrie. That was it.
Wow.
So is that a housing shortage? Because when people say, well, there's a housing shortage, well, who can't find a house? I mean, I know over 1,000 people that they're not homeless. What is a housing shortage? What does that mean? Does that mean we're priced out? That's what it could mean. It could be people don't make enough money. So do you cure that? Well, I can tell you, as being in the pizza industry, if you raise minimum wage, I don't hire people at minimum wage. I was hiring people more than that. But if minimum wage, so if I'm paying somebody $18 an hour and minimum wage goes up $1, that's a scaled raise. Everybody gets a raise. That's just how it works. So price of pizza is going to go up. Price of food in your grocery store is going to go up. So if your interest rates are 6% versus 3%, well, that lady, if the interest rates were 3%, that lady that wanted that home could all of a sudden probably afford a $550,000 home versus a $450,000 home. But interest rates are 6%. So it's an interesting conversation. So she ended up moving to Barrie, and she was a little nervous because Barrie is not a city that's on its way to go somewhere, so to speak. We have a lot of, as Washington County Mental Health, the president had said 3 years ago, said Barrie has the oldest residential infrastructure, second only to Rutland, Vermont, which means we have a lot of homes that are built in the 1890s to the 1940s. And they're all, that's why code enforcement probably is so much stronger in Barrie than it is in Montpelier.
Tim, at what point, just back to the dugout here, at what in any other property, do we say this is an eyesore or this is a safety hazard. Safety meaning it's polluting an area waterway, or it's, you were just talking about combustibles earlier, or this thing, could go up, or somebody could light it on fire. And what would happen to our environment close by, other homes, other infrastructure, natural resources, if it were to go ablaze? But there's a fine line, man. It's like, where do we cross the line between eyesore and a safety hazard?
That's where regulation has to come in, and that's where your politicians need to, find a proper way without overburden. Your Vermonters that are working hard, they take care of their homes, and you need to have success in every pattern that you create, whether it's a business, whether it's your relationship, whether it's your success at your job. You have to have, we all work hard, and as we get older, generally when you're about 30, but there's some smarter kids, they start thinking about retirement. Where are we going to be?
Yeah.
How are we going to take care of ourselves? So how do you take care of these structures so that we're growing in the right direction? Well, it's all going to end up being people that are on the planning commission, people that are at the city council, voters need to be more aware. I think there is a movement where there's a lot more people aware. I think H181 is one of those movements where there's a lot of traditional native long-term Vermonters that have started to speak up and read through some of these actions that the State House is taking.
Yeah.
I don't know where some of these folks are. I've got, I have 200 acres up here, and I live in Corinth, and I have Corinth Planning Commission. They want to put an addendum to if I wanted to sell a couple lots off my property, and they say they wanted to say you couldn't have more than 300-foot driveway. Well, my argument to them was, well, I'm multi-generational. My daughter went to St. Mike's. She graduated at St. Mike's, along with, hundreds of other people that certainly couldn't find a job with their degree in this state because there's no jobs in this state, so to speak. There's no industry growth. So she went to Connecticut, but her dream is to come back here and build a nice home on top of one of the, 5 ridges that I own that's multi-generational. And if she wants to put a home on top of one of the ridges or on one of the faces to see, Mount Washington and Mount Moosilauke, that's our view. We face the Connecticut Valley there. I think it should be the right of our own to be able to do that. Now, we've got some people here, they want to make it the whole state of Vermont a wildlife corridor. They want to make sure that, people are close to the road. Well, if you make a lot of money and you work really hard, and if you want people to come and invest in Vermont, the last thing they want to do is stare at a road. They want privacy. So there's a lot of things going on there. It's very political. It's lots of conversation. You got a bunch of people moving out. I know half of my family members, they've moved. It's too expensive here. They're talking about a 10% increase in property tax come August, which is catastrophic. If you want affordable housing, there you go. If I've got a 6-plex apartment building and my property taxes go up 10% and I'm not making any money because evictions are so expensive now, rents are going to go up. So money just doesn't appear. Buildings.
Next time you see Forbes, make sure that you let him know that he missed a 1 in front of his 8. I think he was saying that 800 people have left Vermont. It's closer.
No, it's 1,800.
Yeah.
No, it's 1,800. I know the number.
Yeah.
And while we're talking about this, and I know we're kind of going from one beat to the other in conversation, but I think, hopefully you have enough followers here. I was approached, Larry Hart, he's in the Senate, or was, and he stepped out. And I was approached to be appointed to be a Senate member and take his spot. I was approached and asked to. And I said, okay, well, what is it? What is the job at hand? What is my responsibility if I took that position? And I think the listeners really need to understand how this works. He said, well, you got to be there from January 6th until May. I'm like, okay, what is it? 3 hours a night, 3 hours a day? How many days a week? Oh no, Tim, it's from 9 in the morning till 6 at night, Monday through Friday. I think from January to May. And he said, yeah. And I'm like, what do you people do? He looked at me, he goes, well, there's sessions. I'm like, no, honestly, you want me there 4 days a week, all day long? All right, well, how much does it pay? He goes, well, Senate, it's a Senate. He goes, doesn't pay anything, really. I'm like, well, is there health benefits? He goes, well, no. I'm like, so you need someone that's unemployed to go sit there from January till May. I'm like, that's sugar season. I've got 11,000 tap bush. It's not hard to figure out what type of income that is on 200 acres. And I have to make sure I make money because I got to pay for that 200 acres in my house on it. I can't take that job. So who do you have in the state house that can take these jobs? Unemployed people? And if they're unemployed, they got to have a lot of money. As a business owner of multiple restaurants, as a landlord, and as a farmer, and as a native Vermonter, I think I would have a lot to offer the state of Vermont, but I would have to sacrifice my job. So it's tough. So what that puts in my mind is, well, who are the elected people and what are their qualifications? And if they're coming up with silly laws, we're in a tough spot. And if the voters don't have time, and most of them don't, because most voters are workers and family, they have family, they have husbands and wives. Those things take up time. We really rely on our politicians to make proper decisions. Not to turn Vermont into a wildlife corridor. Vermont needs people. Vermont needs young families. We have student counts going down. Here in Corinth, our little elementary school is Waits River Elementary. And if our pupil count's going down, we're going to lose that school. We're going to lose tax base. Taxes are going up because we've got 1,800 people a year leaving this state. We need taxpayers to come here. We need workers to come here. We need 25%. You got people panhandling out there. Please don't give them money. They're not homeless. These people actually rent from me. The state provides housing for them. And Section 8 provides housing for them. Washington County Mental Health provides housing for them. And these people are panhandling out there. And they're getting about $500 a day. That's what they get.
Panhandling?
They collect about panhandling. Yep. Think about it. If you sat there for 5 minutes, you're probably going to see, or no, not 5 minutes. If you sat there for 15 minutes, I do it all the time. I get got a couple heart medications I take, believe it or not, right? So I go to Kenny Drugs on the Berrymont Playroom. I watch them all the time. And never have I been there where I don't see people giving them money. Same with up at the hospital. They're making about $500 a day. I had a problem. I had a building and still own it, South Barry. And I had one of the town listers call me up. Jarvis, what the hell's going on down there? You got people panhandling. I'm like, yeah, I've already called my attorney. They pay rent. And because they pay rent, they can stand on my lawn. I can't stop them. He goes, well, are they homeless? I'm like, no. He goes, I'm sitting here at Christmas and I got 7 of my family members and they're pulling in to get groceries and they're giving this lady money. I'm like, don't give her money. I've talked to her about it. She's like, no, I make $500 a day, cash. Now, if you made $500 a day cash, guess how much tax would come out of that? Well, I'm going to tell you, it's about $125 because that's 25%. But they don't pay back into the system. They're getting fed off the system and they don't pay back into the system. All of us workers, we pay all sorts of taxes to make sure that we have these programs for these folks. And if they don't have to work, they're not going to.
Yeah. Incentive.
Now there's a mental health crisis for sure, but we have to make sure that we're not enabling these folks.
Yeah.
My son got laid off from Ben and Jerry's. Unemployment paid him $800 a week. Look, I chuckled. I'm like, what kind of encouragement is that to go back to work? He got another job.
State of Maine. State of Maine is they'll give you a handout for an amount of time, but there's limitations on it, and you know, they're realistic limitations of, hey, we're going to help you get back on your feet, but there's incentive to keep looking for a job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There's definitely a mental health crisis, but
yeah,
I looked it up about 3 years ago. People don't know this. Washington County Mental Health, 6,000 employees in the state of Vermont. Well, you know what the population of the state of Vermont is, right? 600,000. Yeah, it's like 640 to 660.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, what was it? Trump wheeled back some expenses on SNAP because he felt there was fraud. And then it was Governor Scott. He had said, well, there's 68,000 people on SNAP. Like 68,000 people, that's 10% of the population, Phil. That's 1 out of 10 people are on SNAP. There's just no way.
Tim, what do you think? What do you think that number will be next year? Do you think it'll be above 1,800 leaving Vermont?
I think so. I know there's a lot of my friends that are. I mean, I know there's a lot.
Same here.
I've got people that are going to South Carolina, people that are going to Florida.
Same here.
You know, taxes are tough, and let's be honest, the weather's not very fun unless you are out. You know, a skier, a snowmobiler, and even that's very expensive.
And everything's relative. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that. I mean, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. There's pros and cons to living anywhere.
I got I'm not going to drop his name. I got a local businessman and a local name, and he's selling shop, and he's moving to South Carolina. He's taking his wife and his family. His kid.
A local business owner?
Local business owner right off Main Street in Barrie. He's done. He's like, I'm done. I'm just done. There's no workers. Can't find any workers. You know, I can and he brings it up, and I know I own a property in South Carolina. My family, half of my mother's family lives down there. And you can buy a house down there for $400,000 that looks like a mansion. Beautiful. Big 2-car garage, newly built, everything. You try and find a home up here for $450,000, you're looking at a 1960s, 1970s home that needs some repairs.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not selling Vermont. Vermont is so beautiful. I love Vermont. I'll be here forever. I love my farm. I'm hoping I don't get taxed out of the farm. I'm getting older. The maple industry is, you know, it's temporary. It's 4 months out of the year, January till May. And it's hard. You know, my kids, they don't really want a piece of it because they need a job that lasts all year round. There's not enough profit in it. You know, that's one of the things we got stung on. When COVID came, everything went up. The thing that didn't go up in price was syrup.
Yeah.
It actually went down. Yeah. Last year it went up 5 cents a pound. And I'm thinking, my gosh, the labor that I'm paying in the woods right now and the equipment costs and building and equipment and lines and pipe, you know, the vehicles that we need to have for it, the trailers we need to have for it. You know, I've just put a new lift pump in yesterday, $1,800. That's before labor to have the electrician wire it up. So everything's expensive in Vermont, and life is not easy. You have to accept challenges and wake up every day motivated. And and make sure you know math and go to school and figure out all these types of things. But when we enable people, when we enable them and we put them in a, you know, when we get the Becca Balance of the world that come and say, hey, I got $44 million from the Biden administration to help with our, you know, our affordable housing. Well, you can't just throw a bunch of homeless people into shelters, turn around and slap your hands and say, there, I got it taken care of. And all of a sudden your problem increases. You don't have caseworkers for these folks. You don't help them with their lives. And I think that's what we're seeing. The balance of social welfare in Barrie has tipped the scales where it's gotten too far. So you have more social welfare coming to Barrie than you do have blue collar workers coming to Barrie.
Yeah.
And frankly, you've got, like I said, one of your businesses, they're packing up shop. See you later. Bye. I'm out.
Question here, is it against the law to panhandle in Vermont? I think that's town by town for ordinances, right?
Yeah, so I'm not a lawmaker, and I could have been, because that's what that Senate seat was. So that Senate seat of Larry Hart that I would have had to go on for 4 months, it's a Senate seat. You make laws. So you have, I'm not going to say they're homeless people, but my gosh, who can take that job?
Yeah.
Everybody has to work that has some type of, if you are an educated individual, you're working. I don't know if I can really say that, but I mean, if you have good values to give to the state of Vermont to help in the direction that you can cure some things, you have to have some experiences or extreme knowledge to find direction. You know, so the dugout, it all started with that, right? I think it's a beautiful conversation. It was such a beautiful memory for so many people.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's in disarray.
I was chatting with our friend Forrest the other day.
Who?
Forrest.
Oh, yes. Your backdoor neighbor?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, he worked for me, you know.
Believe me, I know. I mean, I heard an hour worth of stories about Tim Jarvis.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, hunting stories.
Yeah.
I heard the whole thing, the story about you saying no, and then you went down in the ravine and within 5 minutes on his father's plot, you bagged that big old buck. I heard
210 pound 11-pointer.
I know, Tim. I heard it all, my brother. But you know what? One of the things that he harped on for a long time about you was that Tim Jarvis is 7 days a week, constantly busting his ass to get ahead, to be successful, to do something with his time here on Earth instead of sitting around wasting it and waiting for any kind of handout from anybody.
That's what I'm saying. I appreciate
gave you
that.
massive props, my man.
I appreciate it.
You know,
you talk about being rich. It's never about the money. And the older you get, and some of your listeners, if they're in their 20s and the 30s and maybe in their 40s, they're going and getting it. But once you get into your 50s, you start to think it's never about the money. It's about the family and friends you have around you, because it doesn't matter what you got. And Forrest, I'm going to tell you, he's a native Vermonter. I know his father. His father is in his 70s, and he actually comes up and helps me tap. Forrest doesn't live far from me, but he lives far from me because we never see each other. We're always so busy. And Forrest himself, 7 days a week, he's got a couple kids, and he's working hard every day to make sure that everything's going right for those two boys of his. And he is just a fantastic guy. And he's an individual. We won't get into it. He's had his struggles too. But he doesn't look for a handout, and he never asks for anybody to be sorry for him. He's had a catastrophic injury to himself.
Yeah.
You know, he don't talk about it. He works
hard
to be here every day.
Works hard every day.
Yes, he does. Yep,
Zero.
he's gained all that respect.
Yeah, zero excuses for that fella. None.
Yeah.
Yeah. You say that you're a native Vermonter, Tim. You're going to stay put.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to stay right here. But man, it's one of the comments here is that it's impossible to retire in Vermont. You've worked hard. You've got, for lack of a better term, a nice nest egg. But man, it's like more and more people are like, before I get too old and it's too late for me to get out, I've got to go before I'm literally and figuratively stuck here.
Yeah, I mean, I have a life story, and these are all good things that, you learn as you get older. And my parents are native Vermonters. My mom was here up until about 3 years ago. She lived in a condo in Williston, a real nice condo in Williston. She started to get a little Alzheimer's. She fell on the stairs, and the medical institutions in Vermont were saying, well, you're going to need to go into assisted living. Now, my father, he was a snowbird. He was down in Florida, and because down in Florida, there's no state income tax, he changed residency. He became a Floridian. And so taxed on your Social Security down there also. So he became a Florida resident. He ended up having to go into a memory care facility, and my mother needed to go into assisted living. And we looked at facilities in Vermont versus Florida, and literally, and you can quote me on this, and you can investigate it yourself, half the price down in Florida versus here. Absolutely 100% half the price, and beautiful facilities down there. Looked like you're walking into Miami Vice. Fountains, activities, everything. And I'm not dissing the people here in the state of Vermont that have elderly facilities, but if the price is different, now how Medicare works or Medicaid, whatever it is, we had to show that our parents were absolutely broke before they got assistance.
Same here.
To pay for an elderly facility. Now, with that said, you have to extinguish all your worth. And now some of these places, they may not take Medicaid or Medicare, which one it is that takes care of the elderly in assisted living. So some is all funded by private, as in my investment, my 401k, my house. And that's usually how it is. Our world is this. We get old. House is the only thing we own at the end of that 30-year mortgage. And it might be worth $400,000. And I need a memory place, in Vermont, it's going to be $16,000 a month. That's what it's cost. And in Florida, it's $6,800 a month for a memory care facility. My father was there for 2 years. He died December 28th with a smile on his face. But he lived to be 90. So he had a pretty good life, good old Vermonter, born and raised right here in Franklin County. He was a dairy farmer growing up, and he loved everything about Vermont, hunting, fishing, all of the people. Yeah. I mean, it's always the conversation. My wife has just walked into the sugar house. We got to fire the oil up, and I got to clean and put all the sweet back in the pan, and we're gonna burn out about 10 barrels today. So I got to probably get back to work so I can be a good taxpayer in the state of Vermont.
Tim, I'm gonna run up and see you at the sugar house soon, man. Great,
all right, brother.
Great chatting with you this morning.
Good to chat with you. Have a good day. I think I just thank you for talking about the dugout. I think it's got so many beautiful memories for so many wonderful people. It's just, it's too bad that it got old and somebody that bought it just didn't take care of it. I don't know what the answer is there. I don't think we need to get pitches and forks and torches and go down there and scream and holler at a neighbor down there. It's just too bad they didn't take care of it.
Yeah.
It's not hurting the neighbors. Unfortunately, it may be depreciating some of the properties around it, but we got to be careful with bureaucracy. We don't want those people that don't
Yep.
have good experiences in the state of Vermont to make bad decisions, any more bad decisions for us landowners and us,
Yeah.
us taxpayers in the state of Vermont.
You said it, and
So I'll leave you with that.
100% agree, man. Thanks, Tim.
You bet. Have a good
All
day.
right.
Bye.
Yeah, comment here. You should probably contact Frank Malnetti for the true and accurate story. I plan to. I was chatting with someone about that yesterday. Commenter says, I worked for him for many years, and he gave me the true story about what was going on there. It is a sad story. Vance says it should be torn down, cleaned up, a nice historical marker of Barry granite placed there with the restaurant's history. Wow, what an idea. I haven't seen anyone else say that. What a great idea. I heard there used to be like cottages, so you could rent over to the right. Maybe mention those too. Great part of history to mention and remember. Alice Farrell, got to have you on, Alice, because I just see your comment here about South Carolina. Would love to have you on the air to chat about this. She says Jacqueline Kennedy, a huge supporter of saving historic buildings, once said about lobbying to save a totally derelict building, quote, some buildings just don't deserve to be saved. Not a fan of the word deserve, but I understand. Because I think a lot of respect is deserved by that property. The dugout. And I know. JD, you're all over the road this morning. I know. Save and savor the memories. Memorialize its existence as an entry point into Barrie and at the Delta area of Honeybrook. It should be cleaned up. John says relocate the dugout if it's not being rebuilt. I don't know how in the hell that place could be rebuilt. That's my guess. I remember the dugout has always been part of leaving Barrie to go to East Barrie. Kathy saying, I agree. Frank Malnetti Jr. should also have had a chance to be interviewed to tell his side of the story, how he has lost this struggle with squatters, and tell about the long-time legacy when his father had it. The sailor hat of Malnetti Sr., the lobster, how it was part of the Prohibition era, how it was literally dug out back in 1909, and why it was dug out, which Tim was speaking of earlier when he first connected with me. There's a ton of history. I was only involved the last few years operating it as a restaurant. This is from Kathy Sample. There are a lot of stories to be told about that place, not just the current one. We have lost so many good restaurants of Barrie. Good times of the Steakhouse, oh yes. Soup and Greens, yes ma'am. The Hilltop, Country House, Dell's. God, Dell's was one of my favorites. Go into Dell's on a cold winter night, sit down and have some of the most amazing Italian food I've ever had in my life. All of it. Whew. Jockey Hollow, Green Mountain Diner. Yes, man, she's just hitting it here. The Tower. Wow. Sarah Fantoni. My parents bought it from Frank Malnati Sr. My dad was the one who renovated and ran a brilliant restaurant for years there, known for the salad bar, among many other things. Josh is my brother, although he's younger than me, so not sure how much actual history he knows between my dad and Frank Sr. My dad, Bart Foster, who Tim was just talking about a little while ago, became very close friends while they transferred ownership. Frank was amazing. Sarah, when you chat with Josh, just remind him that I was expecting him this morning. But listen, man, here's the thing. And I know I said earlier, maybe I should close the conversation on this, but I mean, it's, like Tim was saying, it's a conversation that let's just have this. Let's have this conversation. And we'll have it around the here and the now, and what's the future, what's being done, what's being talked about. Is there anything being talked about on a municipal level? Is this ever brought up over in East Barre? I don't know. I'd like to find out. I mean, just in yesterday's post, not to mention the one a couple of weeks ago with well over 500 comments. Last I checked, it was almost 600 comments. Just this one here is popping. I mean, obviously we're hitting we're poking the bee's nest here a little bit. I mean, there's many different angles that we could take on this, and Tim really hit on some of the big ones. This place was a staple for most of us youngins. Don't drive that way much, but it's definitely an eyesore. Sad to see it, but it's been years in disrepair. Yes, there's a ton of places to eat, but nothing like what we had years ago. Oh, my gosh, so many comments here. I'm just glad I can't read every single one of them on the air, but they're outstanding. Outstanding. I went there many times when it was owned by Bart Foster. Wow. I mean, this is really, I'm still glancing here at the comments. They're coming in faster than I can keep up with them. Wow. Literally faster than I can read them. And I hope that you do. I hope you have a chance to read through some of these, if not all of these. I plan to tonight. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen tonight. Wow. Literally, look at this. It's unbelievable. I am going to contact Frank Malnati. I had some conversations about doing just that yesterday, and it's going to happen. I don't know whether or not he'll come in here and sit on the couch, but I'm absolutely going to be extending this offer to him. Yeah. Garrett, Junkyard. And I hope to reach out to the town as well and find out some information about it. And I also know that, man, there's a lot of other really important conversations that need to be had just in and around the Granite City alone. And we got some really awesome things that are on the horizon for Barre. We got a fantastic summer right in front of us. There's going to be so much going on. There's going to be live music, great food, all kinds of events. I'm going to be highlighting all of them here on Aired Out. I'm going to tell you everything that's happening. Keep watching the page, too. Community events happening all the time, every single day, 7 days a week. Yesterday and Saturday were just two examples of what Central Vermont is doing. A lot of stuff for families, which always gets my attention. What's the plans for Tuesday? Tomorrow, Patrick Willis is going to be in here. He's going to sit down, and we're going to be talking about his life, his experiences, and in specific, Special Olympics. Hoping that Shay's going to be here, possibly Buddy, possibly Sharon, but definitely Patrick Willis. And he's got a great story. And we're going to talk about Special Olympics. Frankly, I think a lot more needs to be highlighted about Special Olympics, at least here on Aired Out. And I've been really wanting someone from Special Olympics, especially a participant, to come in here. And it's finally going to happen tomorrow. Wednesday, Sweethearts and Heroes. Thursday, we're going to be featuring Our House, which is, they've got something big going on right now. And Rebecca Duranlo is going to be in here talking about it on Thursday. Friday, G is going to come in here and light it up as we head into the second weekend in April. I'm going to reconnect with Josh Foster, who was supposed to be on the couch this morning. Josh, I do know in my conversation with him, has a massive amount of stuff going on in his life right now, buying a home and whatnot. So I am going to be chatting with him. And we're going to get him in here. Just got a comment here. If the town, we're talking about East Barry, Barrytown. If the town did take action, it likely would appear in Barry Town zoning enforcement minutes, which aren't typically covered in general statewide news searches. Interesting. I'm on it. I'll see what I can find out. I'm going to reach out to Frank Malnetti, and we'll continue to have this conversation about the dugout. We'll see what happens. I think we all can agree that we want, and man, Tim just nailed it. I mean, we want what's done right and respectful for that property and any other. And we don't want folks from Massachusetts coming up here and getting involved in politics and making laws that are going to affect all of us and how we live and what we have on our front yard and what we don't. See a comment here from Noah Payette. I'd love to be on the show again, JD. Noah, it is 100% that you're going to be. I need to get him penciled in here like ASAP, because I want to talk softball, and I want to hear what he has to say about all this too. John Kidder. Hey, JD, there's a bottle drive Saturday the 12th for Worcester Fireworks. Oh, yeah. Drop bottles at the Historical Society from 7 to 1. Thank you, John. I didn't know about that. Love that. Don't forget, tomorrow night, dinner at the American Legion. Post 10 right here in Barrie. Dine in or take out, your choice, just $12. I think they're doing, is it shepherd's pie? I think it is. Anytime anyone says the word shepherd's pie, it gets my attention so fast. I stop everything I'm doing. When, where, who, how much, what, where. keep an eye on the Barrie Post 10 Facebook page and the World newspaper for the menu. They always have it in there. Tomorrow, that's tomorrow, Tuesday. Wednesday, Wing Wednesday over at the VFW Post 790 right here in Barrie at 5 o'clock. What's happening this weekend? Friday night at Post 10, American Legion, Randy Breer. He's playing at 6 o'clock. Saturday night at the Post, Crazy Country will be there. That's, Saturday. God, there's so much going on. And I'm looking at next weekend, too. And then the month of May, look out. Man, we are like huge shifting gears. I was asked just the other day, will I be talking about the Lake Maury Summer Concert Series? You absolutely can bet on it. I will. I've got the whole schedule. I know who's playing. I'm going to be pretty much at every single one of them. And yes, Noah is going to be in here talking about the Barrie Co-Ed Softball League, who's looking for players, looking for sponsors. You bet. Barrie City Rec Department bringing back their summer camps. April 1st was the start of registration for that, so get on that. Look at these camp themes. Unbelievable. I got to talk about these at some point, and I will. We uncovered a little bit this morning. A lot of food for thought. Allow yourself a little bit of time to digest. Think about what was said. Thanks to Tim Jarvis for coming on this morning and making all of us think. There's no one way to look at anything. Just take a deep breath. Try not to respond or react too quickly, especially if it's sensitive. Just take a deep breath. Process. Think before you write. And share your thoughts. I'll tell you what I'm going to do tonight. Tonight, my pathetic ass is going to be sitting on the couch with either the heating pad or the cold pack. Not sure which. On the shoulder. And the readers will be on from Optical Expressions. And I will be reading all of the comments that come in from today's episode. That's what I'm going to be doing. Every single one of them. And I want to thank you in advance for considering posting something, a comment, sharing your thoughts about the dugout and the rest of the stuff that we talked about this morning. Have a fantastic rest of the day. We'll see you tomorrow with Patrick Willis, my guest here in the studio on Central Vermont Podcast. It's aired out.